Right.
I don't think that's so bad.
Okay, so this is my main nemesis right here.
Well,
Okay.
you said that one's been dropped, right?
So what-
It'll be 500 feet, so.
Is this
We
correct?
we did email you some new ones today.
Oh.
Sorry, I didn't get them,
I
but
didn't get
it'll
'em.
be even lower than that.
It was,
So that simulation is based on a 650 footer?
The new one we sent is based on 500.
No, but this picture would have been,
Probably, yes.
okay.
Yes.
So if you take 150 feet off there, there's maybe some blade tip
I
or
see a little
something.
late too.
well, there is some verbiage in your law that I think I heard Aaron talk about visual impacts. So if you can consider me sometime in the future as being highly impacted here, I would appreciate it.
So you're.
Because I know some of you guys don't see any turbines, you don't hear any turbines, you don't see any flicker, you know.
So you're, again, you think we're saturated enough for you?
Yeah, for me,
Okay.
for me.
I look out my back door every day and see two of them spinning. I hear their flip, or I hear
Well, yeah,
their.
Lowell, you're also collecting money off of it,
Exactly.
and we ain't getting nothing. So that makes it kind of a big difference.
It doesn't, what did I tell you when we got what did I tell you when we got the thing ready to go? I didn't care if they had a turbine on me or if I got anything out of it.
You
It
did.
was good for the town.
I don't know that that's true, though.
Yeah.
A lot of us don't believe that's
We
true.
got, there's
That's
171.
why I gotta back Mike up.
Yeah.
I gotta back Mike up on that because damn it, how do they choose the person that they want they want the fan on? How's that even chosen?
That's the gentleman
Why
over
why
here.
don't I,
Let's,
why don't I take,
another public comment first.
yeah, when you guys are finished, I can say a few
Yeah.
different things,
Is there other,
if there's.
okay. If not, go ahead, Kevin.
So let me, if I forget something,
Is this a
please.
windmill representative?
Yes, it is.
These guys gonna build it.
Please,
Kevin
please-
Sheen.
please let me know. I have some cards here, I remember to bring some
Lawyer for this, yes.
additional business cards in case somebody wants to have a more direct conversation with me. My email and my cell phone are on them. Couple of things, how are spots chosen, why 500 feet versus 650 feet, why the difference? Wind in this part of the world, in general, is a function of elevation. Wind shear is a function of, as you go higher, the wind gets better. Why do you go higher? Because it gets, generally speaking, it can capture more wind. Now, there's a point of diminishing returns at some point when you're going up because the shear value isn't that great, but that's what you do. You generally go higher. The other reason why you go higher is to have a bit longer blades and a bit wider blades. Why do you have longer and wider blades? Wider and longer blades increases what's called the swept area. The swept area is something that as the wind catches it, it helps you turn the windmill more and generates more electricity. So that's
That's 360 degrees on those windmills, right?
they will they will twist toward the wind. There is a skate assistant in there that will help them predict where the wind is going to come from and then turn them into the wind for more efficient. In general here, the wind blows from the southwest. West is your predominant wind direction. There are some other times, obviously.
At what level? I'm led to believe that you were talking about wind is different in different strata.
Yes, as you go up, the wind increases. At hub height here, the average wind speed is probably about 8 meters per second, so about 18 miles an hour, 17 miles per hour, something in that range.
At what level?
At hub height, if you're talking about a 650-foot turbine, so that's at hub height. To be honest with you, I don't know what it is, what it would be at the top of the blade, nor at the bottom of the blade. Generally speaking, we speak in terms of hub height. So that's all I can tell you. I could probably get that information.
I don't need to know that.
I just don't know it on
Our
here.
predominant
Okay.
wind was northwest.
So, how did we choose locations and why were things chosen? Couple things. Number one is, again, wind is a function of elevation. When we came to take a look at the area, we used general guidelines for siting, which is a certain amount from a property boundary, 1.2 times property boundary, a certain distance from homes, 1,550 feet, 1,600 feet, something like that. and certain distance from roads, 1.1 times what we thought would be the maximum tip height from a road. That sort of thing is what factors into how you do that. Then you create what's called a suitable land layer, and that suitable land layer shows, okay, look, of this area, turbines could be placed here or there, that sort of thing. And from that, we go out and speak to landowners. Now, it has been mentioned there are some good neighbor agreements. There are some leases, there's some easements, there's a variety of different agreements. So there may be landowners that we would need to waive some sort of setback for property boundary, for homes, things like that. We've not done anything from from a home. There may be some property boundary setbacks that people have waived. But that's how we choose the thing. A lease is simply that. We're leasing the land over a certain amount of time. Generally speaking, we only lease land, although there are opportunities where the landowner will come to us and say, look, why don't you just buy this property? We're not really always in the market to buy, but there could be an opportunity where we say, look, okay, you don't want to be here, we'll purchase the property and we'll resell it. We've done that in other areas, and yes, I agree. Look, first of all, let me just say, I've been doing this a long time. I hear plenty of comments like some of you folks here. There are certain people, you could say many people, that just think they're ugly, they hate them, don't want to live here because of it. I understand that, I respect that, but there are several people who just don't care. I think there's a mix of it, and I respect that. For some people, the presence of this wind farm will ruin the town of Howard, or further ruin the town of Howard. And being someone who developed the first project here, I guess I already ruined it for some of you, and this will be more of a ruining.
I really gotta insert this right now, I'm sorry. Do you understand that that's a seasonal use road?
Let's not get into the details of.
I mean, the town of Howard's gonna have to plow that road for you, or the town of Avoca.
Okay, look, let me get some high level
Alright.
stuff, okay? Seasonal road use and how we plow roads, that's can come later. So, I completely respect that people don't wanna look at these, there's things. We do take care to try to keep, the sound issues to a minimum. We do try to take care to keep the shadow flicker issues to a minimum. Again, for some people, any sound from a wind turbine means it's terrible. I get that, but what we do is we follow the state's guidelines for what they believe is a safe operation and placement of turbines. Whether you agree with that or not, I'm just telling you the way in which we help to design it. When we come into the community, we try to give as many agreements as we can. If there's a property boundary where we're abutting it with a turbine, we always offer some sort of agreement. A good neighbor agreement is generally compensation yearly for having that turbine nearby. Again, for some people, they say, forget it, I don't want that, I don't want it here, and they don't accept it. For others, they happily accept it because they say, look, it doesn't bother me so much, and I'm happy to have the revenue. I understand there's 132 people against it. I'm sure there are quite a few that are for it as well. Not debating that right now, just saying that's what we do. In terms of some of the lighting issues, someone brought up that earlier, I think it was Chairman. As a part of the 94C process, we are applying to the FAA for what they call radar activated lighting, ADLS, I believe is the acronym for it, and there's some dimmable lighting. So we're hopeful that with the new technology for dimmable lighting, it's used in other functions. I'm not sure how much it's been used in wind, but it's becoming more prevalent in other tower applications, and we're hopeful that by the time this is ready to go in 2023, that will be something that is readily available and also helps the amount of light that you see from the turbines. Turbines now, the turbine technology now, if you can believe it, the turbines are getting bigger, the blades are getting longer, the turbines are also quieter. If you look at some of the technology from, that's about 8 or 10 or 12 years ago, you look at today's technology, it has been getting quieter from that. Again, it's not silent, people do hear them. I respect that. I'm not gonna debate that with you. I appreciate that I'm doing something you really don't like, and I'm sorry about that. I don't intentionally do that.
650 feet,
Yeah,
they're gonna run all the time?
So talk about, that's a function of capacity factor is generally what's done. Capacity factor has steadily increased over time as well. I would say, that technology over there probably in the 30% range is what it is. On a yearly basis, that's it. I'd say the new technology that we're looking at probably upset by 10%. So it's probably about 40%. Now, does that mean that they're spinning all the time? No. In general, the peak for wind turbines in this area, in this part of the world, in general, are your fall through your spring. Doesn't mean that they aren't turning or won't turn in the summer. It just means that generally speaking, your heavier time to turn is generally September, October through.
The lights
this
are on
summer.
all the time.
Lights, well, again, lights are on all the time. Not every turbine is lit, not every turbine needs to be lit. And again, we're hopeful with some of this new radar activated technology that it will cause fewer lights to be on.
We have a small airstrip over in that neighborhood too.
All of that goes through FAA, and all of that is judged through the FAA lens. This gentleman brought up some raptors and some birds of prey, I believe. We do approximately 2 to 2.5 years worth of various studies. We do avian impact, bat impact. We do that in conjunction with U.S. Fish and Wildlife and the New York State DEC. That's a constant process over a couple of years. And at the end of the day, the DEC and the U.S. Fish and Wildlife need to be satisfied that we're not taking any endangered species, not adversely affecting any sort of migratory bird patterns. One of the big issues, and someone brought it up today, is solar. With some of these birds, the issue is that some of their land is being taken up where they would, like northern harriers, where they eat in these large fields. Some of these large fields are being replaced by large solar farms, and that makes the habitat for some of these birds a little bit more scarce. And so there's a little bit, higher or increased study of the grassland bird areas because of the fact that there are some areas that they normally might have used to feed, but now that is taken up by other uses like solar or other things, housing complexes, what have you. So that's what I can say on birds and the amount of studies. The studies we do are all pretty industry specific, industry standard. The process that we go through right now is called the 94C process. 94C was created after Article 10. It sets forth a set of guidance for where turbines should be located, what the sound should be appropriate from them. Decommissioning, someone brought up decommissioning. There is a decommissioning bond on this first project. There will be a decommissioning bond on the second project. The amount probably will be greater for this next project than it will for the other ones. The requirements of the decommissioning bond are to check in every couple of years to make sure that the decommissioning costs, let's say, I'm making this number completely out of my mind, let's say it costs $1 million today. You have to run a new study in 2 to 5 years to say, okay, it will now cost you $1.2 million to remove those. So that bond needs to be increased. Who holds that bond? The state of New York will hold that bond. It's not the company specific. And if the company doesn't put up that bond prior to construction, the project doesn't get built. It's as easy as that. Road use. We had a meeting a couple of weeks back in which we brought in the road supervisors. The Howard Road Supervisor was in attendance. Don was there, Richard was there, and Aaron was there. We will put in place a road use agreement. What do we do with roads? Pre-condition monitors we will take and we will videotape all the roads. We will core sample all the roads we plan on using. We will then work in conjunction with the town and the town road supervisor to study the roads and make sure that the road agreement says, okay, this is in 20 miles of A road, this is 10 miles of B road, that sort of thing. Here's a cost associated with that, and there'll be an agreement between us and the town to either we will repair it or we will write a check to the town and the town will repair those roads. The road use agreement also factors in ongoing maintenance on the roads and ongoing operations on the road. And if for some reason the company would come in and damage some roads or that sort of thing, then they would be responsible for repairing those roads or paying the town to repair them. Some towns are different. Some towns would prefer to fix them themselves. Some towns would prefer the company to fix them.
There's not an ongoing payment that you can make for wear and tear?
If that is something that the town wants in the road use agreement, they should negotiate that and put that into the road use agreement. It is, right now, they're holding the pen on the road use agreement, and they can, put in whatever they want. As far as what is gained from the wind farm, what happens? Wind farms, generally speaking, are given a pilot payment. That's a pilot in lieu of taxes. That's one function of the economic benefit. The other function of the economic benefit is what's called a host community agreement. Generally speaking, the host community agreement is made directly with the town. Generally speaking, the pilot is made with the county, and the county splits that money between the towns, the schools, and the county. Rough numbers, about 50 or 60% of that pilot goes to the schools, just like your pro rata share of taxes when you get your tax bill. About 25% of that amount goes to the county, and about 25% of that goes to the town. Don't quote me exactly on that, but those are the rough percentages of that. The host community, if I may finish, the host community agreement goes 100%. In general round numbers, for every megawatt that's installed, about 4,000 or so will come to the town, okay? So that number also increases at, what was the current pilot, is it 3% or 2%?
3%.
3% per year, not tied to inflation, it's a 3% increase per year. So if there are, and just so the math is easy, if there happens to be 20 megawatts in the town, that means the town will get roughly $80,000 in the first year that the project is built, and then that will increase at about 3% per year. The other contribution that Don mentioned is a contribution to the fire department. The current project probably gives about $40,000 a year to the fire department in their budget, 35, something like that.
Yeah, somewhere in there.
And the future project, what happens is, even though the pilot covers your property taxes, the wind farm is not exempt from special use district taxes. The fire department is a special use district. That means that the towers themselves, if you will pay their pro rata share of whatever the expense is for the entire town of the fire department. And that's the contribution
Is
that's
this
made.
per tower or per
Well, it's, I mean,
project?
well, each town will receive benefits in proportion to the amount of megawatts of
All right.
project that they have installed in their town.
Can I ask for a point of order? Can you make sure that you understand that they can access their location from Reservoir Road over on Jacob's Ladder? That's what Texas does now in the winter.
So but that's in Avoca.
Yeah, but I mean, they're gonna, year-round, day after day, whatever they do on the construction, they're gonna go up Mackey Road?
I don't.
Depends on where that tower lands.
What's
Yeah,
that?
I-
Depends on where that tower lands, what's
Yeah,
easier to
but
get
they're-
to.
Well, I understood it was on the crest.
Forgive me, I don't, if I had a map in front of me, I might be able to discuss it more intelligently. I don't know every road name in the project area.
All of the turbines in Howard, they contract to have that plowed and kept open, so they have them accessible all days of the year.
What are those sections? Are they 75 feet long or 50
It
feet long?
varies with each turbine, probably.
You make that turn by the church property and try to go up Mackey Road, you're gonna have a,
Again,
Well-
I don't want to get into specifics
Yeah.
because it's not, I don't think what the crux of this discussion is about.
Nope.
For example, in the town of Howard, if anyone knows where Dave Stewart lives, in that first project, we widened that intersection in both directions so that turbines could be made. He is a private landowner, we made a private agreement with him. We compensated him for that turn radius easement. Once we were done, we collapsed that in. There was another turn radius agreement up on Bird Hill Road, where we made that turn. Again, private landowner, we improved that, and then we took out that road. That improvement once
Tom and
finished.
Dick, if you've got any time on your hands at all, come over and look at